So it's an honor and privilege to welcome Plant Chapel 2.0, where we acknowledge that we are a community here at United of individuals, of learners, of people who are growing in their spiritual leadership skills, but we are also members of the more than human world. And so we give thanks for creation and the land that we walk on. We acknowledge this is the ancestral land of the Dakota people, and we are not far from the creation story that took place at the Bdote, the confluence of those rivers where life springs forth. And not just human life, but plant life and animal life and all kinds of different ways we understand life. And so we welcome you to this special chapel today, and we're just super grateful to Pan Graham and all of the nature nerds that they have connected in with this work. It takes a village to care for each other, and each other including all of those ways we understand life. So welcome to chapel, and invitation for not just to bring the plants here at the seminary into the space, but also any plants that are near you on Zoom to bring into that space as well, or even the memory, the ancestral plants that you once cared for and that cared for you in return. So bring those in as well. And thank you. And Pan, I think you're up.
All right. Thank you, T. Michael, for taking on the chapel chaplaincy. Yeah, we had hoped to do an annual chapel because plants keep growing, just like our community keeps growing. And so this year, we are sitting around the equinox time. And so I want to name some lights and some darks today, and we'll go over what we hope to do every year, which is naming our plants that have been given names, and also the people who have helped, and an invitation to participate as a fellow plant chaplain. Anyone can be a plant chaplain, and the plants are also chaplains. So we'll name some of those helpers a little bit later, and naming, again, this is equinox, we're balancing our lights with our darks, some griefs that we have about the world and our individual plants, either at our home or in front of us. So I would encourage you to sit with that tension between the lights and the darks for the duration of our chapel today, and just feel all that you can feel. And Caden, would you like to read?
Sure. Right. So today's reading comes from Earth Prayers, and this particular reading comes from John Seuss. To be of the earth is to know the restlessness of being a seed, the darkness of being planted, the struggle toward the light, the pain of growth into the light, the joy of bursting and bearing fruit, the love of being food for someone, the scattering of your seeds, the decay of the seasons, the mystery of death, and the miracle of birth.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Caden. Let's start with those folks who have helped us. Let's get those human beings out of the way. We'd like to acknowledge that Cindy Beth Johnson gave us our giant watering can. So if you have been privileged to use that big black watering can, it's great for the larger plants. So thank you. We've also had a lot of growth. We've had to change or repot a lot of plants. So thanks, Rachel, for bringing us lots of extra pots. And then we needed new soil. So we have Grace Gunther gave us some new soil, which went a long way. We have new plants that have been brought in. So there's a lot of mystery plants. If you are a person who has brought a plant in, let us know so we can acknowledge you. But I brought a few plants in. My partner donated some plants. And now we have even more plants. So thanks, Anna. And then in the fall, if you're a nature nerd, you may have heard the call out of like, hey, come help us prune, come help us build a larger space for these plants. And so a small, mighty team of us spent an afternoon repotting, splitting up. There was an abundance, so we took some home. So that's a bonus. If you ever feel like you want to do that again, you might get to take some home. So that was myself, Grace, Rachel, and Seth Fine, small but mighty, set that together in September. So the plants look really appreciative for the most part. And then plant watering. We cannot forget the plant watering because these plants would not do well or at all. It would be very sad if we didn't have people watering them every week. So if you're looking for something to do and interact with the plants, you can say hello to them, or you can go and get some water and make them feel happy. So I'd like to name Bridget, Catherine Westby, my partner Anna, MJ and Mallory have stepped in, and Kate Cowie Haskell. For those are the people that I know who have contributed to the watering and the life continuation. Of course, there's people who have probably stepped up and given some water to the plants that I'm not aware of. So again, make yourself known. We have a little, if we go back a slide, there was a picture of where you can learn about who just did the watering, where all the plants are, and thanks, Grace, for making that map. So now we've come to the part where we want to acknowledge that we have plants and they have names. They are beings and we want to welcome them. So I invite you to, if you have plants in your vicinity online, Zoomers, bring them close and have them part of this little celebration of life. And thanks to those who have decided to offer names to our fellow beings. Makes them feel a lot more welcome. So Grace has offered the name Winkle over here. I think it was in relation to the Rip Van Winkle, but I don't totally know. But we have Winkle. Welcome, Winkle, to the family at United.
Welcome, Winkle.
Baby was named by Seth Fine and has been here as a bird nest plant. So welcome, Baby. Officially, you've been here a while, but thanks for being here. Welcome, Baby, to your home at United. And Dorothea, holding on to those emotions, folks, of light and dark. Dorothea was named by Dana Rademacher Hansen and is struggling, as you can see. But you are still so very welcome to be here, and thank you for persevering. So welcome, Dorothea, to your home at United. Monster, where did you go? Monster was named just after last year's plants honoring ceremony by Sloan. So Monster is right here, and Monster is a spider plant. So welcome Monster to your home at United. Sally was also named just after our ceremony last year. That's our clover over here. And Sally has lots of ups and downs. I love clovers because they come back in a fury and then they go sad. So Sally, we're here for a ride. Thank you, Leah, and welcome Sally to your home at United. And I think our last one for now, there's lots of plants here that need, so if you feel called, come and visit the plants and name them. But our last one for today is Eureka. Eureka is right now just a vine. There are no leaves. So we're hoping that that will change and we'll have a Eureka moment. Thank you, Rachel, for that name and that pot, delightful pot. And welcome Eureka to your home at United. Okay, turning it over to you if you like.
Sure. Part of the movement towards solstice is, like Pan said, holding the light in the dark. And I mentioned before about reciprocity, that this movement with plants, they have been chaplaining our students and staff and faculty for the last year in wonderful ways. And they've been present for lots of moments of growth and sadness and grief among our community, and been able to hold that with us. And we have sometimes responded in reciprocity by thanking them and taking care of them. But as happens in our world, sometimes we forget, and sometimes we don't acknowledge that we are in relationships and partnerships, and they're hurting. And sometimes our words, our actions, or our lack of actions, our silences cause harm. And so we gather on this plant chapel to recognize as a community that we've also harmed as well as helped grow these plants. And if we can hold both of those things, I think the better off we are. That we have that power to both heal and harm, and we hold that power with these plants because they also have that power. Some plants in the plant world can be poisonous or sharp or thorny, and they can heal and harm. And so we acknowledge that we all share this power, and we would like to use this power for good, for healing, and for the purposes of growing who we are as a community. And so thank you, plants, for being our reminders of that possibility, but also the reminders that we are capable of wounding. And so we hold those things together today.
I would invite those of you who have a plant at home to hold them close. If you are here in person and you're feeling called to come closer, to engage with the plants during this time, we are going to have a moment of reflection. We're trying to get the music going, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. You can listen very closely to your plants. They'll tell you things. But here's a time to, sit with those feelings, sit with that light and that dark, and an invitation to consider a few questions. If it's not going to work, Michael, we can just go to the slides. That's totally fine. If you have your own questions and your own thoughts, that's also fantastic. But take this opportunity to really sink into whatever sensations and emotions and care you're receiving from our plant kin. And there's a couple of questions. I will read them for those who are only listening, and then I'll let you sit for a few minutes in the tension. What are you or we called to care for? How will you or I or we build this reciprocity and relationship? What gifts do we have to offer? What do I or we or you need to ask or give forgiveness for in this hurting world? How may we show penance and live out this grief in pain and death? And finally, how may we continue our path of joy and celebration in new life? And whatever is speaking to you, feel free to come up and grab plants if you want to. We'll sit here quietly for 5 minutes. Thank you for sitting in silence and sharing time with the plants. I'm going to pass it over to Bridget.
Thank you, Pan. It's really nice to sit with the plants and reflect on them and be with them in a different way than we would if we weren't given this opportunity to see them all together. I'm going to lead us all in a closing song. It's by Lawrence Cole. This song is about letting go of, or maybe accepting sort of like how we put passion into something and we don't always get to see exactly where it goes. So in the same way that we might only have time with these plants for a couple years and we might only water them a few times, but we sort of can remember that these moments where we touched the plants or spent time with them was for a greater cause, was for these continuing to live at United and to imbue our culture at United with some sense of love and relationship with the more than human world. And so I'll sing it through and then I'll kind of help to teach it call and response style. Trees grow slow and trees grow strong and trees sway in the wind their whole lives long, and trees hold the ground as they reach for the sky, and fallen trees still feed the seeds they cast before they die. So the first part goes, trees grow slow. Try that. Trees grow slow, and trees grow strong. Trees grow strong. Trees sway in the wind their whole lives long. Trees sway in the wind their whole lives long. And trees hold the ground as they reach for the sky. Trees hold the ground as they reach for the sky, and fallen trees still feed the seeds they cast before they die. And fallen trees still feed the seed they cast before they die. Okay, whole thing, everybody. Trees grow slow, and trees grow strong, and trees sway in the wind their whole lives long. And trees hold the ground as they reach for the sky. And fallen trees still feed the seeds they cast before they die. Trees grow slow, and trees grow strong, and trees sway in the wind their whole lives long, and trees hold the ground as they reach for the sky, and fallen trees still feed the seeds they cast before they die.
Thank you, Bridget. I have no idea why that showed up there. I think just a blessing and well wishes, good positive energy to our plants, all directed for those of you who have extended community plants. We're sending that energy out to your homes so that your plants know that they are part of this community as well, and so that you know that you're part of this community, and that we want as much as possible these plants to thrive, and thinking about what we need to do to make that a reality. So thank you, plantkin, named and unnamed, for your presence here at United. We are grateful, and we wish for you the best life and the most light. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be. And thank you all for coming online.